Okay, if you've been following along on this one, we have this 4104 that got towed in late at night. He's getting coolant in the oil, and it actually ended up being a lot of coolant in the oil. He got towed from just south of Indianapolis, Columbus, Indiana, down here to our place in Tennessee. Stayed the night at the bottom of the hill. We tried to tow him up the hill with the tractor, but all the rain from the hurricane, the driveway was too wet, and the tractor just didn't have the grip to do it. It was just digging holes and making mud. So we weren't able to tow him up to the top. So we ended up pulling him in at the bottom with the tractor into that spot down at the bottom. He was able to stay down there and camp down there. So first thing we got to look into the engine in the morning is we pulled the dipstick out to see how much over full the oil was, and it's way up the dipstick. Definitely where the crankshaft for sure was hitting the oil. That's how much oil and coolant was in there. And then when we drained everything, it was all just coolant coming out. At first, we got over 5 gallons of coolant to begin with out, just green coolant, and then we started to get the milkshake stuff after that. But all in total, we took out over 15 gallons from the crankcase, and it should only hold about 5.5 to 6 gallons maximum of oil. So that was way, way overfilled. Obviously, everything in the engine is just coated with that milkshake goo, the coolant oil mixture that's all over everything. And then we immediately saw the problem lane, and there were one of the valve bridge guides had come out, and the valve bridge guide was just laying in there. That valve bridge guide goes right in, it's pressed in and it goes into the water jacket behind it. So when it came out, that's basically like a water fountain of a massive hole, a 7/16 of an inch hole going right into the water jacket, just spraying coolant right into the engine until it got below the level of the head. That's why there's so much coolant in there. And then there's a chance that some coolant could run back down, or engine oil could run back down to that hole too. But we can see it was actually broken and cracked a little bit there. So we need to order the part. It was only like not even a $5 part. We ordered it. We ordered an extra one too, so we got 2 of them, and the overnight shipping was like $90 on it. But yeah, that's the hole there that goes right into the water jacket. So coolant was just spraying up right out of there, gravity fed from up above. So my buddy over at CarQuest, he gave us a bunch of old oil that he had. I asked him, do you have anything, that's been sitting in the back for a long time you can't sell? And he just gave it to us, no charge. So that was awesome. So we got many, many gallons of oil here that we'll be able to run through the engine and help clean out this milkshake where we don't have to spend money on, wasting good money on oil. One big problem is that he put 4 bottles of stop leak in the radiator, thinking it was just a small like head gasket type thing or something, and he could plug it up and be able to drive it home and not have to pay for a tow. But because there's no way that hole, a hole that big is going to get plugged up with stop leak. But the bad news is all that stop leak went right into the engine, so we got to get that out. Make sure for sure we get that all out of there. It's good that he only ran it for a couple minutes because I'm pretty sure that stop leak plugged up that oil filter too. And before I started doing any work on the engine, I wanted to just hear it run and make sure there was nothing obviously mechanically wrong with it.
Got a little hot. You can shut it off. Shut it down. Sounds good.
Right on.
Got a huge shipment of parts today, but just one little box that we needed for this bus. So there's the oversized. You can see that little, right there, that little ridge, and then, so it's a 6 thousandths oversized. And we're gonna put that in the hole and make sure it doesn't drop all the way down through. Then we'll know that it's gonna be good. And yeah, it's very snug right there. It's gonna go in straight. It's got to go all the way down to the height of that one, so that's quite a bit. Yeah. But that's good. I think this is going to work as the repair.
Hallelujah. It's amazing that's all that holds that sucker in there.
So we adjusted the valve bridge heights. You go through and you loosen them, and as you're holding down on the center, it can't be under tension. The exhaust valves have to be off of it. You can hold it down in the middle there, and then loosen that nut, tighten it down, just tweak it with the screwdriver, and just as soon as you feel it making contact. And then with that nut on there, you go 1 flat of the nut. So if this part of the nut is here, you want to turn it so that next part comes around to that side, and then hold it in position and tighten it down. And then we were testing it with a shim. When we had this one apart, we tested it with a shim to make sure it was exactly set right. And we take a 2mm or 2/2000 shim from the cylinder liner because it's kind of like C-shaped. You can get on the front and the back, and somebody can push down in the middle and make sure it's tight, and you know that it's exactly set right. And then we did go through and check all the other ones just to make sure it was right. here. And we're gonna make sure it ain't leaking. We used Permatex on there as a lubricant for it, high temperature Permatex, just to make sure it's sealed good. That's fine.
You want to fill it up?
Yeah, go ahead and fill it all the way.
Make sure there's nothing in there. Close?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll bring it up to the normal level in the surge.
Yep. Yeah. So far, so good. No.
This way you get a little pressure on you, huh?
Yeah. Okay, so we're in between the full and add there with brand new clean oil. We're gonna run it. We got a new oil filter. As long as we don't have coolant coming out of there, we should be golden. And then we'll run it and get some of this water out of it, change the oil. We're going to change the oil twice. The second time we're going to get pretty warm and idle it up, rev it up a little bit. But we're going to take it easy on it right now. It's the first time. So we're about 4.5 gallons of oil are in it, and then we put 1 gallon of diesel into the oil. The diesel is going to help clean everything a little bit. That's why we're going to take it easy on it. Take it easy on the bearings with the diesel, but that should help get everything cleaned out pretty well. Yeah, for idle. Just got that hunt, but I don't want to adjust that until we get all it cleared out of there. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, watch your head. Yeah, you gotta rev it up a little. So we're checking that valve bridge guide to make sure there's no coolant, leaking through there and it's staying dry. There's a little bit of milkshakey appearance around it, but it's no different on this cylinder than any of the other cylinders as it continues to just push that milkshake stuff up from everywhere. The engine was completely covered, every inch of it on the inside, I'm sure, with that stuff. So it's gonna take a little bit to get rid of that. The air compressor's loud.
You always said that about this plant, always.
No, I was just listening. I let the microphone. It's so much quieter and nicer to listen to without that air compressor clanking around making air.
There's no flow, it's just sitting stagnant. The thermostat didn't open it. Thermostat's not open.
Yeah, it'll take a while. But that level still might go down a little because there's some air pockets in there.
Do you want to bring it up to temperature while we're doing this?
I just want to let it run for a little bit.
Sure.
Let it, because it's pushing that shit out of everywhere.
Boy, it is coming out too, ain't it?
Go ahead and rev it up a little bit. We're going to make a little bit of a mess. Don't get too much dirt flying around though.
other one. It's still shitty, but nothing like it was. Nothing like wiping out free oil, huh?
Yeah. It's better than wiping out expensive oil.
Yeah, you got that right. This would be a good use for the generics that we don't like running in our engines, the CF2s, you know, like the miles. And I use it for makeup oil, and I use it for the oil bath cleaners. But is the filter coming off on this one too?
We'll take it off and dump it and put it back on.
Okay, I'll let that flow, and I'll do the filter with that other pan when that oil gets down there. Still had wheels thin.
Oh, that gallon of diesel definitely. It's 25, almost 25% diesel. You want to pull that off and dump it. It's almost there. The more gray we get out of there, the better.
There you go. 415. What time did was it 320? It's almost.
That's our first oil change there. So it's still got a little gray color to it, but it is much more oily consistency. And we're not detecting any water coming into it anywhere. We left the drain plug off after it was drained and there was no water coming out. We kept looking around that pin. We sprayed it down with like brake clean around it to make sure there was no oil, and then no water was coming out of there as well. And then we left the drain plug off for a while, and then we put the drain plug back in for about an hour and took it out, and no water came out, just a little bit more of this residue that's in there. So we're going to run it hard now. We're going to come up and down the hill a couple times maybe with it, and get the engine up to temperature warm, and then get it to continue to clean it out. We put another about 4.5 gallons of fresh oil in there as well. And the filter we just took off and drained it. This is a new filter from the last time, so it's only been run for a minute or two, or maybe 5 minutes we ran it. But we're going to run it hard now, get it up to temperature. Want to go ahead and start her? Still in neutral, right? You haven't messed with any of that? They've opened. It's hot on the other side.
Say it again.
The thermostat's open. That pipe's hot.
It's hot.
Yeah. Be careful.
She's goofy. There is goofy.
There is.
It did make it in.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to look.
Just a little bit.
If that's the case, I'm thinking about opening up the heater loop. Because the heater loop probably looks like that.
Well, when did you close it though? Right away?
Probably before the.
I was hoping he wasn't really going to have a lot of oil in the coolant because once that pin was out of the hole and the coolant was no longer coming out of that hole, the oil that was flowing in the head was able to run down that hole into the cooling system. So hopefully it's not a lot, but there's definitely some in there. So we'll get that flushed out. It all floats to the top of that surge tank, so it shouldn't take too long to get it out of there.
Cleared up a lot. The exhaust. Take it up to the governor again for about 60 seconds, and then we'll shut her down.
So this was a very inexpensive repair. You know, our buddy donated that oil for free. So with those couple oil changes that we did, didn't cost us anything. We had a $4 part. The shipping on the part was the worst part. It's $90 for the shipping, and then dab a Permatex on it while we pounded it in, and it's not leaking anymore. So we were able to solve the problem there. We had to change the oil filters twice. So $40 in oil filters. The big expense was the towing. It was about $3,000 for the tow, but his towing insurance is going to cover $1,000 of it, so he should be about $2,000 out of pocket, plus about $140 in materials. So not too bad.